Hello there, my friends. How are you today? Nice to see you. It's Keith from IELTS Speaking Success from his little house. And here today, just let me get in the camera, you'll notice what's missing. Those of you who come regularly, you'll notice that the maps are missing. That project has finished. So my daughter's now on a new project. But anyway, welcome all of you here today. Delighted to see you. Hi, Tanja and Abhilasha, Saruba Patel. Nice to see you. Lovely to be here today. We are going to start a really exciting topic today, and it's all about video games. IELTS speaking and video games. Yesterday, I posted in the group to see what kind of games you play. Some of you play Mario Brothers, one of the great classics. Some of you have played Civilization, one of the older games that is still going. Civilization 4 is still one of the top-selling games out there. Some of you play Pac-Man, and a lot of you don't like games. Oh, what do I say if I don't like games? Well, you're going to find out today. For those of you who are watching this on recording, welcome as well. We're going to talk all about video games. Great. Lynn, I'm very well, thank you. How are you? Anada, nice to see you. Shahin as well. And Gurdeep, nice to see you, sir. We've already got some games in. We've got Snakes and Ladders has already come in. Ciao dall'Italia, Valentina. Hey, buongiorno. Great to see you. Jack from Myanmar as well. Sally, nice to see you. And Jazim, good morning. He likes cooking games? Seriously? Arlie, how do you like cooking games? Do you make like game biscuits? That sounds really interesting. Hey, Mary, Virgin Mary, great to see you. Nice that you're here. Emily, very good to see you. Not a big fan. I know, not a big fan of games, but never mind. Michaela, Ludo. I remember Ludo with a U. It was a great game. Barbara from Ireland. Great. Nice to see you here. Brilliant. Good morning. A few more of you. Preet, Saimi, Prachi, Elena, Tom from Vietnam. Great. Hala Mustafa. Nice to see you, my dear, as well. From the Philippines, we've got Miramonte. Nice to see you again. Farshid and Baba. Wow, that's a great name, but I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Sir, madam, good morning to you. I'll call you Baba for short. And Hipatia from Nepal as well. Great. People from Dubai. Sally, I'm great. Thank you very much. So, good morning from Russia. Brilliant. Nice to see you. Zara, hello. Borgao, good morning, sir. Nice to see you as well. Or it might be madam. So, listen, as we say hellos, we're going to move on from the pleasantries. Sometimes the hellos we call greetings or pleasantries. It's where we're very pleasant to each other, right? So let's move on from the pleasantries. And let's talk about games now. This topic is very close to my, not to my jumper, no, to my heart, because you may or may not know this, but I studied my master's degree recently. Yes. At the great age of 47, I was doing my master's degree in digital education. And so I had to learn about learning online and course design, how to create courses. And one of the modules, one of the minors, was in game-based learning. And I had to learn how to play Sims, World of Warcraft, all these games. Part of our assignments was we had to get to level 20 in World of Warcraft. I mean, what a great master's degree is that you have to learn how to play these games so that we understand how learning works in a game-based situation and to use it for educational purposes. So it's really interesting. And I am not really a big gamer, right? Like some of you have said, you're not into games. It's not your cup of tea. I was never a big gamer, but after that degree, after my master's degree, I love games. I think they're great. And what's interesting, as we will discover today, the advantages of playing games, they're up here. They're just that the research is clear. There are huge advantages to playing games. So if you're not a gamer, start playing. But caveat, word of warning, in moderation. Bit of self-control, bit of self-discipline, because the big downside is addiction and it is a problem. But if you can handle that, great, good. Now, there's a nice comment here. I like this one. Gurdeep, I only like fighting games with my siblings. Nice. I love it. Very nice. Sometimes games, we mix real life with online stuff, which I think is really, really good. Okay, great. Now then, let me move forward. I'm just trying to keep an eye on people saying hello as well, and moving on to any interesting comments. I love to play house escape game. Great. Ludo, Tammy. Yeah, I used to play Ludo as a child, as a board game. House escape game. Was that where your parents lock you in and you try to escape? I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not. Now, Igor, you've jumped to the gun, but well done. You've come out with gamification. We are going to talk about game-based learning and gamification as well very, very shortly. So that's a nice taster. Yes, digital education. One of the big advantages of digital games is they can help us learn, right? But let me begin. Great. Some of the questions we may get, right? Well, the other day, actually, we looked at toys, right? Do you remember we looked at toys? So some of the things here might also come up with that. So one of the part 2 questions, describe an indoor game you've played. An indoor game could be a video game, right? Or a different kind of mobile phone game. Okay. And then we've got all these other kind of questions, which we will address. How do you address a question? You're thinking, surely we answer a question. Haha, you can address a question is to try and find a solution, is to address, right? Like address where you live, number 9, Fifth Road. Okay, so some questions we'll look at today. Do you play video games? And if you don't, how to answer that? What are the advantages and disadvantages, the pros and cons, right? And then you can't see the other ones because it doesn't show them. What do you mean you can't read my mind? Come on. Should we stop playing video? Should we stop children playing video games? Very controversial. Is it good for adults to play video games, right? Is it good for adults to play? Maybe yes, maybe no. Right. And there's a message just caught my eye. Wow, this looks like almost like a prepared answer. It's going to be too long to share, but Majid, but just the beginning. When I was a kid, I used to play Nintendo, right? Which is it's a platform, isn't it? Because we've got games, and then each game has a platform. So your game may be on Steam, Twitch, Nintendo, or maybe a PlayStation, even though it's a machine, right? We call them platforms. I was given as a gift from my father at my birthday, but everything, the suspense, but what happened? But everything has changed now. With the evolution of handhelds and mobile devices, the way we play games has also been transformed to a significant extent. And it goes on. Great. So how we play games has definitely changed. And that's a very good question that might come up, right? Okay, so let's just begin talking about the different types of games, okay? And maybe here I can just... Let me share the screen. Here's my screen with you. Just a moment. Different kinds of games. I'll start and then you can carry on. So, we've got different kinds of games. Well, there's a nice link here. I'll show you the link in a moment. In fact, I'll show you the link right now. Open the link. And I'll put this, as always, right? I'll put these things in a I can't show you now. I've just realized it's a different screen. As always, I'll give you the links later. We've got arcade games, right? Now, do you remember? Depends how old you are, but I think we still have arcades. These are places you go to play these big video games. And things like Pac-Man were very, very popular. Things like Space Invaders, these were the arcade games, right? If you don't know these, then just watch me for a moment, right? Just watch me for one moment. I will play these games with you. And you can see my browsing history. You can see what I'm looking at. If we say playing Pac-Man, you should be able to see the game, right? Yay. So I'm hoping you're actually able to watch in this, right? This is Pac-Man. It's that old game, video game. Do you remember this one? Would you believe it? I did an analysis of this in my thesis. Pac-Man. So you've got Pac-Man there. You can, let me show you another one. Space Invaders. Playing Space Invaders was the old games. This one. Do you remember this? Okay. I kid you not, I used to spend hours as a kid in some of the arcades near my house playing this game. What a fantastic game. Space Invaders. So that, just to show you, is the arcade games. Now, of course, we've got, in addition to arcade games, computer games that came next. So the games went onto our computers. And then we get mobile phone games. So somebody in the group talked about Clash of Clans, which I love. It's a great mobile phone game. If that counts, well, yes. If we're talking about video games, we can talk about arcade games, computer games, mobile phone games. You know, you could say in the past, we used to play arcade games a lot more. But now, as technology's developed, the technology has become more sophisticated, and the games too. We now have such games as Candy Crush on our mobile phones, which I'm sure a lot of you play or have played. We've got massive multiplayer online games, and these are role play games, right? And again, if you're not sure what these are, just let me show you an example here of a massive multiplayer game. And then I promise I will pass the ball back over to you. Wait a moment. Massive multiplayer games. Here we go. Massive. Well, this is Steam. Steam is a great platform if you're into games. Lots of free games here. Smite Battleground of the Gods. There's lots of them here. Dark Genesis Season Pass. And to give you an idea, right? I mean, you can look at these, how they're played. This is the kind of game that you get. You won't get yourself killed. Probably. Some of these games are almost like watching a film. I mean, the graphics are incredible. And the sound effects, it is really almost like film quality. There's often action, adventure, and cuteness. With science fiction as well. But you can get an idea, right? Strange monsters, and most of the time you go around killing people or killing monsters. That's often the kind of thing that we've got. World of Warships, there's another one, massive multiplayer games. And again, you'll see that it's basically a bit of strategy, a bit of going around and attacking people and killing people by and large. Bit of strategy, but just a lot of bombs and shooting and suspense, which is what often makes games engaging, is the element of suspense that they have, right? But it's just like watching a film, right? It really is. And it's incredible, the level of graphics that they have nowadays. Okay, so let me just come back and close. So those are some kinds of games, right? MMOs, massive multiplayer online games, role play games. What other kind of games are there? Let's see. Write down in the comment box. And me, I'm just going to make a note of some of the interesting things I just said. Right, good. Let me come back. Kinds of games. Chess. Yes, Farida, you can play chess online. That's true. Atari. I remember Atari, Rima. Let me see. I'm going to have to come all the way down. Pac-Man. Oh, now Sana, you put me onto this game. You put me onto this game, which means you introduced this game to me. I'm just making a note of these expressions. Fishdom. Fishdom is great. It's an engaging game, but you create a fish tank and you don't buy fish, you win things, and it helps you buy things for your fish tank. It's very, very addictive. Console games, absolutely. Now, consoles is the kind of the platform. So your PlayStation 2, your Sony is the console. And then you've got the different games, like Clash of Clans is a mobile phone game. Exactly. Great. Tetris Battle is a good one. Yep, Emily. Mohammed is into Silk Road. Before computer games, PlayStation, even now, PlayStation is very, very popular. Right? Emmy doesn't like war and fighting games, but what games do you play? PUBG. Amelia, Counter-Strike is one of those first shooter games. Again, this is so the fighting games we can call first-person shooter or third-person shooter. A bit like the grammar, right? When you say first person in grammar, it means I. So a text written in the first person is I went to the shops. In the third person, it's he went to the shops. A first person shooter game is where the picture is your hand, right? So you can imagine if this were a shooter game, right? If this were a shooter game, you would just see my gun here going, shooting the dog up there, right? That is a first-person shooter game because you are the shooter. A third-person shooter game is where you see yourself, you see your body. So this would be a third-person shooter. Ooh, just shot the pigeon. This would be a third-person shooter game. So there are different kinds of shooter games. Great. Medal of Honor, great. Dragon Boy, Tron, some nice ones. There's a lot of people like Dragon Boy here. Excellent. What else have we got? Player Unknown Battleground, Call of Duty. Yep, that's one of those shooting games. What else? Anything? Let me come right down and catch up. Action games. Ludo, Snakes and Ladders, if they're online. Yes, Monopoly, if they're online. So make sure we're talking about electronic games here. Mario Brothers, yes, great. Super Candy Crush, brilliant. Room Escape. Now, I've played a few of the room escapes on the mobile phone where you have the door and you have to find clues to open the door and get out of the room to the next room. Very, very interesting. Thank you very much, Ankit. First person shooter. First person shooting or first person shooter games. Brilliant. Then we've got the role play games from Sam. Brilliant. Animal Crossing. Excellent. What else have we got? Anyone else got any different? Of course, the football games, right? So FIFA is one of the biggest football games out there. And the racing games are also very popular. Formula One racing. I haven't played Dunk Shot, but Sanjay, I'm going to check it out. And do you remember Angry Birds? I remember that. It was so big, they even made a film of it, right? Great. And Duke says, in fact, I used to play Pac-Man games in the year 2005, but I didn't know the name. Used to be a lot of fun during those years. Yes, that's right. Great. Anything else? Oh, now Clash Royale. This is the new version, right? Clash of Clans. They've now got Clash Royale is the new one that's come out. Age of Empires is another popular one. Brilliant. Good. So, and League of Legends. Excellent. So lots of different games. Let me just, again, give you some language here to make a note. Here we go. So we've talked about before, sorry, Maria. I think you're Mario Brothers' sister, Maria. Impressive graphics, right? So some of these multiplayer online games have got impressive graphics or film quality graphics, engaging soundtracks. And you can say, you put me onto this game, which means you introduced it to me. You introduced it to me. You put me onto this game. Sana put me onto Fishdom. In the App Store, you can check out lots of different games. We've got simulations. So these are, for example, where it's like real life. So maybe you will pilot an aeroplane or drive a car or pilot a rocket to the moon, or The Sims. The Sims is one of the most popular simulation games, right? Again, very briefly, if I copy this, I can show you the Sims game. Now, another phenomena that is happening these days is YouTubers playing video games whilst you watch. So you just watch them play the game. Because it's become such a competitive area, in order to learn how to play well, you watch really good level players and you can imitate them. But it's also part education, part fun or learning. It's really interesting and it's unbelievable, right? The number of people watching this is bizarre. When I first saw this kind of video, I thought, who would watch this? And yet millions of people watch it. And here's the sim. So this will give you an idea of a simulation. Oh, hang on. So with the simulation game.
I was just a perfectionist, so I kept putting it off. But we're in this quarantine, so I thought I would just make a new university LP. Very basic.
So what she does at the start, right? This is her, and she actually looks like her. She makes her avatar.
Every week in the game, but you know what it is and what it do. So there's the formal little crochet vibes. Love it. Take a shot every time.
So she puts on different kinds of dresses and wears different kind of things. As in many of these role-playing games, you can become a man if you want, right?
This is his athleisure.
So once you've dressed up, you then go into the actual game. And this is where you choose your background, your relationships, choose a partner, and then it's amazing, right? And then you go into the real life and you actually kind of act.
Because I want to have like less Sims because I want to maybe that was a bad idea. No, it's not. I want to have a family eventually.
I want to have a family. Just like that, right? At the click of a finger, the click of your fingers, you can have a family. And then you get the idea, right? That's the kind of thing. It's a simulation. It's a simulation of real life. So The Sims, very, very popular. One of the biggest ones that was ever made and still hugely popular. We've also got adventure games like World of Warcraft, which may be a multiplayer online game. You can play it with others. You can play it on your own. You've then got strategy games. So Age of Empires is a strategy. So just notice the focus here on the stress. Strategy, a strategy game. Adventure game. A role-play game. We've talked about first-person shooter, like Call of Duty. I'm sure the gamers will know that. Third-person shooter. Okay. So interesting language there. I'm a bit of a gamer, actually. So if you like games, you can say, I'm a gamer. We often, in very natural English, use this expression, I'm a bit of a. Now, it sounds like little, right? But it actually means more than that. It means you really do play games quite a lot. I'm a bit of a gamer, actually. It's just being humble or modest. It's a very humble way. Instead of saying I'm really good, we say I'm a bit of a gamer. I'm a bit of a cook, actually. So if I say to you, I'm a bit of an amateur cook, I actually cook a lot. Right? I'm a bit of a painter. I paint a lot, but I want to be humble and don't want to blow my own trumpet. Remember? Don't want to brag or boast. I just say, well, I'm a bit of an English teacher, right? I actually do it a lot. So I'm a bit of a gamer. It's a nice little expression you could use. Great. Now, puzzles. Here's other kinds of games. Puzzles. The ones about open doors we've talked about. Hey, come back. Sport games. So FIFA is the interesting one. Text adventure games. Now, these are fascinating, right? Text adventure games. Have I got an example? I think I've got an example, but I'm not sure where it is. Here it is. So let me share with you a text adventure game. It's a great game. It's where it's not a third-person shooter. It's not fighting. It's not a race. It's a kind of simulation. It's where you read a passage and then you react and give an answer, and that takes you to the next stage. And these are amazing for reading skills, interactivity, fun, education. They're really good. If you're a fan of Luke Thompson, Luke's podcast, right? English teacher Luke, the Lepster. If you're a Lepster, Luke has some podcast where he reads out the text story as he's doing it. They're amazing. I will give you a link in the notes, but just let me show you very briefly an example of one here. Just to give you a very quick idea, this is the Victorian detective, right? So I don't know if you can see that clearly or not, maybe not. So it gives you the background. You're a great detective living in London. Your eidetic memory is represented by your ability to reread all the story. London needs you, da 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 da. And so what you do, after burping, excuse me, is you play. Try to avoid the adverts. Play online. And then it goes into the background. It kind of shows you, oh dear, I'm worried about my internet connection. I wonder if this is going to drop. What a shame. It's not working, is it? Oh, what a shame. But anyway, I will give you the link and you basically follow the story. The That's not going to happen. Sorry about that. But you follow the story and you make decisions and choices as you go. It's fantastic. It's really, really good. So those are different kinds of games. And just to finish up on the games, we also have augmented reality games. Wow. Say that quickly 3 times. Augmented reality games, augmented reality. It's impossible. Augmented reality games. Augmented reality games. Do you remember Pokemon? It was a game where everybody went onto the street and into the parks looking for the little, not the Pokemons, the Pucha, what are they called? Pucha-kooks? Can't remember. And you have to capture them, right? Amazing. It's like a role play, but with augmented reality. And then you've got running games, racing games like Mario, wherever you're running or racing against somebody else. Okay, so different kinds of games. Let's look at the advantages and disadvantages. When we talk about advantages, we can talk about pros, benefits, the upsides, the good points. What else can we say? What the benefits, the advantages, of course. These are all different words that we can use. I'll give you one, and I'm going to say learn transferable skills. So the advantage of video games is you can learn transferable skills. So, for example, if you play a strategy game, you can learn how to strategize, and that's a skill you can transfer to the workplace and your real life. It's a transferable skill. A lot of games you need to learn how to play in a team. If you're playing online with other people, you may be part of a team. In World of Warcraft, for example, you can become part of a platoon and a group of people fighting other animals together. That teamwork is a transferable skill you can bring to the workplace. So that's one of the benefits. What are the other benefits, right? What are the benefits? So let me scroll down. Let me come down. Benefits. Cooking games, that's true. I'm a gamer. That's nice. I like to see people practicing the language. This is all very, very good. Yes, here we go. The advantage of the adventure game is people can encourage themselves for taking risks in their life. Dennis, that's nice. Very nice answer. Great. Amelia, I like this. Blow my own trumpet, but I'm a bit of a gamer. Great. Yes, blow my own trumpet it's one of those strange expressions we always use in the negative, right? You say, I don't want to blow my own trumpet. It's always a negative. I'm not going to blow my own trumpet, but great. Yes, Shweta, I'm going to answer this in one moment. It's a great question. Let me answer that in a moment. Let's just see what people have got about the benefits. Augmented reality we've mentioned. Great. Played an air controller. Great. I recommend you give it a chance. Give it a go. Right. Any advantages? Where are we? Here we go. Some games can increase the concentration ability and memory skills. Very, very nice. Yep. A few people have mentioned concentration. Absolutely. It also builds coordination, as Tina tells us. Great. It, as Hapatia, enhances the level of critical thinking. That's nice. Yes. It helps develop the attentiveness and strategic thinking, right? Strategic thinking. So let's talk about strategy and strategic. I'll come back to that in a moment. Great. You can make new friends. You can inculcate the skill of concentration. Param, that's very nice. Inculcate, or, yes, grow the skill of concentration. Adrenaline is a positive effect. Anna, you text too much. You're texting positive with a Z, but that's okay. This is speaking, right? In speaking, it would be okay, but not in writing. Okay, great. You can have an active memory. You can activate. So again, active and activate the memory. Right? What else? Another benefit of the strategy game is they might improve their brain with good decisions. Improve their brain. We don't improve the brain. The brain is an organ. It's like improving your kidney. You develop your cognitive skills or develop thinking skills, right? I think that would be more natural. So develop thinking skills or critical thinking, right, is a common one. Or if you want to really show off, cognitive skills. Okay, great. I'm going to share these. I'm writing them down. I'll share them in a moment. Emily, yes. Emily, you're writing all the time. Great. Release the stress. Some skills, as Sulfiya says, can teach sophisticated skills such as problem solving. Yes, problem solving. And this one is quite good from Yuna. Simulation games help young people living in our society. It helps them make decisions. There are some great simulation games about money and how to spend money. And they teach you financial skills. So it's really, really good. Possibly, Mary, very good. Develop self-regulation and self-awareness. A lot of games develop empathy and self-awareness. And I think this is an interesting cycle that they can develop self-regulation, but you also need to develop self-regulation, self-discipline when we're playing games, right? And there are some games, as Thanishwar says, learning important words. There are some great word games. Word Brain, if you've been on the mobile phone, is one of my favorites. It's actually one of the only games I have. I don't know if you can see that. Word Brain. Word Brain is a great little mobile phone game. I'm a bit of a gamer. But I don't play many mobile phone games because they distract me. I only ever play on the computer because I need to sit down and take time, and it's easier to self-regulate. But if you want to practice a nice word game, then Word Brain, this one here, is quite fun. It's a little bit advanced level. Accept the gift. Of course I accept the gift. They always give you gifts, right? Gamification. Let's come to that in a moment. So this game, basically, you've got the gaps that you have to choose from the letters, all the letters to make the words. Word Brain, great. Gamification, I'll come to that in a moment. So we've got some good ideas here. Let me just come and share with you some of the things we've just said, just to recap. Thanishwar disappeared. So strategy, right? Strategy, you've got the stress here, is a noun. It's a good strategy, okay? But it can also be an adjective, a strategy game. A strategy game. A strategy game. The other adjective is strategic, like a cup of tea. Strategic. It's a very strategic game. So a strategy game is telling you the type of game, right? A strategic game is just telling you, it's more about the skills you need to play the game. So active is the adjective. We talked about having an active memory, but that's different from activate. your memory. And to activate is the verb, right? To activate vocabulary. It's to make active. Develop thinking skills. We talked about critical thinking, so you can develop critical thinking skills as well. And you can develop the cognitive skills. This is a difficult word. So cognitive, there's a lot of consonants. So break it down, right? Do this. Cognitive. Cognitive. And the stress goes here. Cognitive. Develop cognitive skills. That's a nice language. So more benefits, very briefly. HR recruiters. Now, believe it or not, HR people, when they're recruiting, they do sometimes ask about and are aware of transferable skills. If you are a level 100 in World of Warcraft, some of these big multinational companies will pay attention, right? I have been in interviews where we've interviewed people in the company I worked, and they've said, listen, I'm a level 105 of World of Warcraft. And instantly we knew they had certain strategy and leadership skills that were transferable. So it's also a benefit in getting you a job. It's also a form of income. As we looked at before, the lady who was showing us the Sims, right? YouTubers who make videos of themselves playing the game. And we've got even professional players now who are in worldwide competitions. They can earn a lot of money. So that's also another benefit. Of course, some games are educational. This is the big benefit. Remember the text games? The one that you didn't see? I'm sorry. But there's the link. You can get these notes. By the way, these notes will be in the, where will they be? They'll be in the Facebook Keith IELTS Mastermind group. But you can also get them on my website. So Minecraft. Now you must have heard of Minecraft. It's being used in schools by teachers in the UK to teach all sorts of stuff, from mathematics to coding. So we often use games to teach coding, right? So these are some of the great benefits of games. There is also some games are educational. Okay, you could talk possibly about game-based learning, and gamification is becoming very popular. Let me just make this here. Hang on, be on the same page. I'll come back to the drawbacks in a moment. So game-based learning is becoming very popular. So actually there are schools and teachers who are using games, video games, to help teach children. And one of the reasons is because gamification is very, very engaging, right? So gamification is very engaging. Some people say addictive, possibly, but it's engaging. It depends how it's used, as with all things. So gamification, what is gamification? Gamification, let me just bring my face back in. Gamification is where we use rewards as incentives to move along the game. So if you're, for example, if you're doing some grammar exercises, every time you get an exercise correct, you get a coin. Bing, gives you a coin. The more coins you get, the further up the leaderboard you become. And if you're at the top of the leaderboard, you get a special prize. So basically, it turns learning into a game, but a very simple game. Gamification is the very simple level of giving you a prize for every correct answer. So instead of a tick like you did at school, right, you get a coin or a chocolate, digital coin, and then it grows and you think, oh, I got more money. And then you've got a leaderboard where you can compare yourself. It's actually the same as your teacher at school, right? who ticked your homework and said the top of the class was blah, blah, blah. Bottom of the class was Mr. Keith O'Hare. And now this is gamification, but done digitally. So that's gamification. So it's also very, very, it's very useful, and it's being used by teachers. Simulation is also a positive because it's used in professional training. So if you want to become a pilot, you will do simulation games. Some games are therapeutic. Therapeutic is it helps you recover, or rehabilitation. So it's recovery from a sickness, right? Example, there is a lot of research now in if you are addicted to certain drugs, you may use certain games to help you rehabilitate and recover from that addiction. The irony is you may recover from your addiction to drugs, but become addicted to the game. No, I'm just joking. Hopefully not. So there are some benefits. Nice one here. It can fight the sense of loneliness. Great. Let's talk about the detrimental bits here. William talks about detrimental things. So what are the downsides or the negative things, right? The drawbacks, the downsides, the disadvantages, the negative points. What are they? If it's so game addiction, that's number one, right? Can I just share this with you? It's a great expression, Dennis. I'll play the video games until the cows come home. Great expression. Please make a note. Until the cows come home is forever. Forever. Like it. Like it. So advantages. Moving on to disadvantages. We've got loads of advantages. Disadvantages. Oh, there's some great answers up here. I hope you're checking each other's answers because there's some really good stuff. I mean, great. I mean, look at these expressions, right? It takes my mind off matters. Fantastic, lovely idiomatic expression. Okay. It's a nice one here, almost, right? Dennis again, sorry. Scrabble is my favorite. I really dig that. So not on, I dig that. I dig Scrabble. Yeah, nice. Olga, like it. Some games just ginger people up. Abhilasha, games are a good stress buster. At the same time, we shouldn't be addicted to it. Excellent. Great. It improves your immune system. They can. That's the therapeutic and rehabilitation effect, right? As Isra says also. So negatives. Has anyone got any negatives? Downside. Great. Somebody's good. Amelia, downside. Capture my attention. A majority. The majority of gamers won't physically exercise. Good. Therefore, an increase of health problems that were less common in the past. Right. So gamers don't move enough and they can become lazy, and obesity, overweight is all potential problems. Now then, this is interesting. In my opinion, some online games teach cruelty and violence. That's very, very interesting, right? A lot of people talk about the negative impact of games. Addiction is one, and causing children to be violent and causing people to be violent. It's very interesting. I'm going to come back to that in 1 minute and talk about it because I've studied it. This is true. Aroused temper if we lose the game. Yeah, I've seen some people lose the game and their temper, they fly off the handle, right? They fly off the handle. Make a note. Get really angry quickly because of the addiction. I think that's to do with the addiction. Now then, same thing here, Rima, a plethora of these games. Oh, lovely. A plethora. a lot of these games have a high violent content, which will eventually influence children's perception of reality. Possibly, yes. What else have we got? It leads to obesity, time consuming. Pranjali, that is one of the big problems, right? You could be doing so many things other than playing games, but in moderation, good. Obesity is a good one. Apparently, according to Tina, gaming addiction can slow down the brain growth. It has negative effects on eyesight. Yes, look at me. And I'm not a big gamer, really. I'm not at all, especially not now. This is so eyesight. That's very, very true. You can learn how to cheat. Yeah. Oh, there's a whole Pandora's box there. Possibly increasing violence, I think you mean, violence in society. So let me address that, right? Violence in society. How am I going to address that? I had a link somewhere and I've lost it. Okay. Oh no, it's the TED link, isn't it? Hang on a minute. It's this one. And I can't remember what I was looking for before. Maybe I can just type it in. Just bear with me, all right? In fact, come with me. Sorry, that's so rude. I'm on a different website and you're there thinking, what's he doing? So let me share the tab. I'm going to go into a new tab. Just watch this, okay? Pros. My MacBook is going to go to sleep. Guys, I've got to plug in my MacBook. Wait a minute. Pros and cons of video games. Pros and cons of video games. They've got positive effects of video games. Lots of things they can do. Improve basic visual processes. Enhance executive functioning. So the person's ability to rapidly and efficiently solve problems. May help ease anxiety and depression. Negative effects can make people more violent. Okay, so it's not true, actually. It's not true. There is so much research. I'm going to come back. There is so much research that it does not have a negative impact on children's perception of violence, and certainly doesn't make children more violent. The research leans very much towards the benefits of video games rather than the negative. There is very little evidence of video games causing children to go out and be violent. Of course, there are cases. And of course, when you look at the world, you may think, well, the world's more violent. There are more video games with fighting. Therefore, one causes the other. Not necessarily true. There's very little research that shows the causation of video games causing violence. It's more the other way, that there are more positive sides. That's what the research says. Not my opinion, but just from a research point of view. Now, guys, just bear with me, because if I don't plug in, I'm going to disappear in a minute. So stay here just for a moment. I'll tell you what you can do. Cancel that. What you can do is you can have a look at this just while I'm gone away. This is rather strange, I know, but because I do have to plug in and I don't know where my thingy is. What's my thingy? My plug.
I'm a brain scientist, and as a brain scientist, I'm actually interested in how the brain works. And I'm especially interested in the possibility of making our brains smarter, better, and faster. This is in this context I'm going to tell you about video games. when we say video game, most of you think about children. It's true. 90% of children do play video games. But let's be frank. When the kids are in bed, who is in front of the PlayStation? Most of you. The average age of a gamer is 33 years old, not 8 years old. And in fact, if we look at the projected demographics of video game play, the video game players of tomorrow are older adults. So video games...
That's me, the older adults playing the game. Okay, let me close that. I've plugged in, otherwise I was about to evaporate. Okay, so I realize I need to finish up as well because, as we said on Tuesday, longer than an hour is a bit too much, right? Let me come and share with you a couple of things, okay? One of them, the first thing is, so somebody asked earlier, what do I say if I don't play video games, right? As with most questions where you don't do it, keep talking, but talk in the negative, right? So if the examiner says, do you play video games? And you say, no, I don't actually. Develop, but stay in the negative. I've never really played many video games. I have never played. Great language. I've never played many video games. I've never really had the opportunity. As a child, we didn't have a computer, so none of my friends had computers, so we never used to play video games. We never used to play. In the negative, right? I would love to try some video games. And maybe in the future, if I had time, I would go and buy a PlayStation. If I had time, I would go and buy, right? Or, to be honest, I'm not really attracted to video games. So even if I had time, I wouldn't go and buy a PlayStation. Even if I had time, I wouldn't go and buy a PlayStation. Can you see? It's just develop in the negative. I haven't, I wouldn't, I never used to. You can actually answer the question, but just in the negative and showing off all of the great language at the same time. Okay, does that make sense? That is strategy number one. Strategy number two is talk about another person you know, right? Possibly your brother, sister, friend. And for one question, that's fine. I mean, don't do this all the time, but if as a question the answer's no, then do this strategy. Do you play video games? No, I don't. But I have a friend, Michael, a classmate, who plays video games all the time. I think he loves those first-person shooter games where you try and kill as many people as possible. They're all built on kind of gamification, and he loves to be at the top of the leaderboard. He says it develops his strategy skills, but I'm not sure. I think maybe he's a bit addicted to it. Right? Talk about somebody else, but talk. Show off your language. Right? So that's the thing. So that's how you can handle two strategies to handle the answer no if it's a no. Right? Does that make sense? Brilliant. Great. Some people are saying it's DD time. And people new here are going, what on earth is DD time? I'm not sure if I've got time for DD time because I just want to share with you before that some language for the other questions. Because as usual, I've gone a little bit slowly, but it's always good to get there, right? Drawbacks, very briefly. Addiction is a problem. Potential problem. There's a nice word, right? It's a potential or possible problem. You can say it can lead to health issues or health problems. In extreme cases, it can lead to death. There are cases, right, where teenagers have spent 24 hours in a room in the arcade or the gaming rooms playing the video games. And in Korea, there was a teenager who died because of that. Such a shame. So we talked about flying off the handle. Some people, when they're addicted, they are addicted. If they are addicted and lose, they may fly off the handle, which is to get angry. The other questions, should we stop children playing video games? Well, should we stop children playing games? It depends. Maybe it's better if we teach them to self-monitor, because self-discipline is, a vital skill for their future lives, right? So we can talk about self-discipline. We can learn to write as well, Keith, can't we? Yes, we can. Self-discipline. And I think Mary called it self-regulation. Right? We can limit their use. The other thing we can do as parents is play with them. Because if we play the game with them, not only do we control their time, but we can influence their thinking and help explain how the game works, what it's good, what the dangers are, what it may mean. We can also help them. Well, we can build a bond. We can grow closer to the children through games. And in the same way we talked about toys, buy age-appropriate games. So don't buy Fortnite for a 6-year-old because there's too much blood and killing. I mean, that really probably is not a good idea. Buy age-appropriate games. The last question, is it good for adults to play video games? Well, yes, because you can relax, you can kick back, you can disconnect from the day-to-day routine, you can let your hair down, you can chill out. All of these things. But beware, it can be addictive. Right. Okay. That was kind of a whistle-stop tour, a very, very quick tour there. Great. So quite a few people. I'm just looking at the comments. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, well, this is a nice comment. Yeah. Children can teach us how to play. Exactly. That's a great way of supporting children's development with games. Now, here's an interesting question. It's got nothing to do with games, but I will answer it. Come back. Where's it gone? Where is it? Oh, here we go. It's from Noor. If you don't mind, thank you, Noor. If you don't mind, could you share with us the expected topics during May and July? I would love to, but we don't know yet. So there are two things, right? I'm not sure because of the lockdown, and in most countries, the exams have been cancelled in May, at least in April, maybe not May. I'm not sure if the questions have been updated. That update may be delayed. Maybe. We're not sure. Secondly, we can only get hold of the questions once candidates have started to take the test. So once they take the test, if you do the test and then share the questions, then we know them. Nobody, including me, has a secret channel to get the questions before they're published. That doesn't happen, right? If anybody tells you they've got the questions, it's not true. They may be guessing and predicting, fine, but nobody knows. It's a very high security and nobody has access. even me, of course. So we have to wait until the first tests happen, and then the questions will be out there. And me, like many other trainers, will gather the questions, and I will make a video about the questions and how to answer them. But at the moment, can do. We don't know them. Okay. Tom, just to let you know, you are joining very, very late. We actually began an hour ago, Tom. So every Tuesday and Thursday at an hour earlier, come along. Okay. Ali, take care, my friend. Especially in these days where we've got lockdown, people are getting addicted. So be careful with that. A lot of people in the same boat. To be in the same boat, in the same situation. Okay. Yes. Dates available in June. Yep, that's true. Okay, good. Okay, the fluency gym. Guys, I tell you what I'm going to do today. I am going to finish up because our concentration limits, right, are going to fall, including mine. I will do another video on the fluency gym, probably over the weekend. So I will put that out on YouTube and Facebook so you can see it. And then what? Oh, Friday or Saturday, I've got a new video coming out with part 1 tips. So today we did talk about the strategy for addressing the question, right? Addressing the question if it's a no, if your answer's no. I've got 5 more tips and I've made a video. That video will come out Friday or Saturday morning about tips for IELTS speaking part 1. It's very, very interesting. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Keep your eyes open. And then early next week, I'll do another fluency gym. The topics for next week, I've decided to try and organize myself so that I can choose topics. I want to be fairly flexible, right? So that if people suggest ideas, we can do new ideas. But I do have a plan for next week at the moment. And I'm looking for my plan right now. Yeah, what I would like to do based on demand, so these are things quite a few people have asked for, is next week. On Tuesday, probably ecology and conservation. Ecology and conservation. And on Thursday, computers and AI. Yeah, okay. So that comes up next. There's a lot of questions about questions. Yeah, I'm wondering if we just do a question and answer session as well, where actually you just put all your questions and I answer them. Because I realize there's a lot of questions here I cannot answer today, but maybe I can just do a question and answer session as well. Guys, thank you. Oh, look at me. Oh, I'm yawning. I slept very badly last night. The lockdown is affecting my sleeping cycles. I keep waking up like at 3 o'clock in the morning for like an hour or 2 hours. And then mid-morning, I get tired again. And I've been forgetting to drink my liquids. That's right. Anyway, I'm going to wind up, say goodbye to you all. Thank you very, very much for joining. So do remember to keep an eye out for videos. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, yes, I almost forgot. I was going to remind you that if you want to study with me, at the moment, I'm not taking on new one-to-one students because I have too many. But the Udemy course, there is the online course. It's on Udemy. It's still available. I will put a link in the notes and you can go there and you can study online. It's pretty cheap, but it's a great course. It'll give you lots of ideas and language. It's called IELTS Speaking Success. Get a Band 7+. So there you go. That's it. Take care. Be safe during the lockdown. Play a few games. Become a bit of a gamer, but in moderation. Be disciplined. Enjoy yourselves. Take care. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now.